he gets ahead of anything talking about him early. He don't let it fester. If it's right or not, we don't know, but he gets on it. Like he don't, even if he did do it, he be on it. Like, look, I did do cocaine, but I ain't do that to that girl. Like he'll give you like, do you have to tell me you was doing cocaine?
I was there. I was on cocaine. I did the cocaine. I did that. Okay. And yes, I shot a hole in the wall, but I didn't touch that girl.
Yeah, I over here bullshitting.
Right. So, this lawsuit. So, $500 million lawsuit against Warner Brothers and Discovery for the docu-series that dropped last fall in like October, called it's like Chris Brown, A History of Violence is what it's called. So there's no ambiguity with that. It is like you see that title and you realize, okay, we're going to watch about Chris Brown and A History of Violence. The issue with that he takes with it is that there is a woman in the documentary, Jane Doe is how she's referred to, who previously had a lawsuit or against Chris Brown for sexual assault, but that lawsuit was dropped. The lawsuit was dropped because there was not enough evidence to substantiate the claim. They knew, so in the documentary, she is on there. It's just her silhouette. She's telling her story, but she claims that he is not just a rapist, but a serial rapist. So that serial in there, that kicks it up a notch. It means it wasn't just me. There's a history of this. This is something that he goes out and does. So Chris Brown's people heard that that she was going to be on there and that she was going to say these things. They provided evidence because this is a false claim, et cetera, pretty much what they would have done for the initial lawsuit. The information was received by Warner Brothers Discovery, and they still proceeded with the documentary. And so thus, Chris is saying, absolutely fucking not. This is defamatory, and I'm suing y'all for $500 million. Will he get $500 million? Who knows? But here's the big issue. So when it comes to defamation, essentially, there's a lot that goes into it. So defamation is a little bit more than me just saying, oh, he liked to steal. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's more than that. And wait a minute, hold on. Where's my let me see. Sorry, excuse me. And this is from PBS. Okay, their standards as far as what defamation is. And I felt like PBS wouldn't lie to me. If I'm getting it from PBS. So for defamation, right, in general, the plaintiff who files a lawsuit asserting that a statement that was published is defamatory has to show that the statement, meaning that was read or viewed by at least one other person besides the plaintiff, that the story identified the plaintiff, so it did identify Chris Brown, and that it harmed their reputation. And it made a false statement of fact, so that the statement's incapable of being proven true or false, basically, or it's like pure opinion can be considered defamatory. And then finally, it has to at least have some level of fault. So a plaintiff who is a public official or a public figure, Chris Brown, must prove that you published the statement with actual malice. So that's where it gets tricky, because it's like you published this knowing that it was wrong. And then the other part of it is that the standard for defamation cases like that, you have to prove that they either knew it was false, or they engaged in a reckless disregard for the truth. So the issue is going to be
they did it with Cardi. She kept doing it over and over and over again. And that's where you're saying with defamation.
Yeah, so it's like, is the issue is going to be, do they have enough information to at least where the case is going to be like, do they have enough information to where at least a reasonable person would know that it's unproven, unsubstantiated, and probably untrue, and essentially proving that they acted with reckless disregard. Meaning, did they turn a blind eye and just to the truth, right? And unfortunately, the burden of proof is actually kind of going to be on Chris Brown to prove that these are defamatory statements. The bigger issue is that he is now going to open up an examination of his life in court. So we all know his history with other shit. So yes, okay, we're gonna say like it's the I didn't do this one thing, but they can look at other things, and so it goes into a lot. But again, they're gonna have to provide evidence as to why. Essentially, the Discovery, Warner Brothers, whoever is going to have to provide evidence as to why they believed it was true after Chris's team provided evidence of the contrary. So essentially, you're saying she liked to steal. I'm saying, no, I don't. And here's proof of like anything you're trying to say about, oh, she stole this one. Look, no, here's evidence showing the opposite. I've never stolen anything. And you like, yeah, you stole shit. I'm gonna go ahead and still say it. So that's where the problem is. We're going to see what happens. Like I said, but the woman who is mentioned in the documentary, who speaks in the documentary, she did have a lawsuit before against Chris Brown, and it was withdrawn, essentially due to lack of evidence. And also, rape cases are hard to prove. Mm-hmm. It is a literally, and I can't even say even if they catch you, like if you're literally caught in the act, we've seen people walk away. But again, he's not saying I'm this amazing person. He's saying serial rapist. Now
I do a lot of dumb stuff, but I don't do that.
Now.
He stopped hanging with Trey Songz because he's like, look here, man, we can't do it.
So like, I mean, that is something to say. And again, I'm not on anybody's side of this. We know Chris Brown is but Chris Brown is Chris Brown. I don't put sexual assault above any man.
Yes, I agree.
I just don't.
Now, a question for you all. We never talked about this. This is a question for you all since I was looking over this. Is Chris Brown one of the biggest what ifs in like pop R&B history? Like, of just like, what if that never had happened? Would we see a whole nother Chris Brown, period?
He'd be a movie star.
If 2009, if there's a situation with, I don't even want to call it a situation. If the abuse with Rihanna, if that assault would have never happened.
Yep.
Never, ever happened. They were the it couple. I mean, they were young. Umbrella, they just kind of together do that. So there was so much potential just for them together alone. And if who's to say they'd have been together now, right? They was young. They may have broke up, whatever, right? They were young. But they looked good together. It was a good look for both of them career-wise. They were both climbing towards the top. And I think that's one of the other things with it is, and I've said this before, and I'm sorry, if it wouldn't have been Rihanna, if it had been like Sierra.
Okay.
If it had been, what was the girl that was in G Unit, Olivia? Like something like that.
Olivia's too old for that, man. Olivia, I age.
But point is that it would not. I think
Brooke Valentine.
I think that it would not. I think that the public would not have. I hate to say it. I don't want to say they wouldn't have cared, but it was because it was Rihanna. It made the difference. It made the big difference. And then to see the pictures of her, because we knew, we had heard and everything, but to see those images of her, and again, as a pale woman, it is extremely easy to bruise. Okay, I wake up with bruises every day, and I have no idea how I got them. So please understand. I have scratches, stuff like that. I'm like, where the hell? I think my bruise on my arms, they just cleared up, but I had several bruises on my arm, like somebody had grabbed me. Nobody's grabbed me. I haven't seen anybody at all. So to see all of that on her, it was just a lot, and her face is swollen. So all you're thinking is this man, like, he beat her. He didn't hit her.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't just hit her once. Like, it wasn't like a slap and, just the handprint on. No, it was, she was beaten. And that's, again, no excuses for anything, but to beat somebody.
Yeah. And I think it put a glass ceiling on his career.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's only like he's still, people, but it's only so high Chris Brown can go for the rest, like, his life. Like,
for the longest, he couldn't even be any fucking where.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't go. He could not.
He pledged Grad Chapter Bloods, like.
He literally was like on house arrest. Like, there were award shows. Like, if she was there, he couldn't be there. And she was everywhere because they're both in the fucking industry.
Yep.
Like, he couldn't perform. So there's a lot that he lost. And when he did that one performance, like after Michael Jackson died, and he's did Man in the Mirror, and he cried on stage, and we let him cry back into our hearts. Okay. Mm-hmm. And however, and I've said this before, you were young, something happened. We can move, like, some people will move on from it. Some people won't, let you forget. But it's all about what you do next. Mm-hmm. And it's how you continue to carry yourself afterwards. I always talk about the fight me and my homeboy Dante had. Like I had a black eye, like all of that, everything. But do I call Dante a woman beater? No. Like, he and I had a fight. I actually hit him first. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
like, I stole that nigga first.
Like, I hit him first. Like, and like, just know everybody like people that were there that tell the story. Like, it's all like, we laugh about it so much now. Or even like that day, like, we were over it, like, afterwards. But since then, has Dante hit girls? Is he going around? Like, no, that's not, because that's not who he ever was, and not who he continued to be. So again, you can come back from something, but it's all about how you continue to carry yourself. But if you continue to be violent in any ways, or the police at you, all this other stuff, like, it's hard to believe that you have changed or whatever. Like, yeah, you went to anger management and you've been to rehab and you done all this stuff. I don't know. And the other part is, I almost feel like when I saw like everybody going to his concerts and paying all that money, it was like, wait, Chris.
Hey, this cool ass Scott from the I Love 90s Music Podcast. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like it on the SOLC network. You finna get all the real deal on the 90s, the 2000s, and the splash of that 80s. Do it right now, man, and I'll be your friend.